This is a video to my future self. I'm making this in 2025 right now, and I never make these type of videos. And honestly, I'm going to be doing that. It's like a form of journaling. And the reason why I want to continue doing these and just do that for myself is so that I can look back at me and I can really, I can genuinely really see where I was and everything about it. Because back when I lived at home, I think because you're so content with the things around you, your mother cooks, your father pays the bills and all these things. You just live there. And honestly, when I think about it, back then I was way less mature. I truly was. I didn't even realize I was that immature, but at the same time I did know that I was also smart in certain areas. But a lot of things that I struggled with the most was probably like how to be and exist in the world. I think everybody when they grow up, especially when they're still a teenager, like when you're not an adult yet, you struggle with that, self-identity, and you try to find things that make you feel like you are somebody and you want to belong somewhere. And I think the biggest mistake I've made is not use the gifts that I just have naturally. I'm just gonna refer to it as, my cards. Everybody in this life is being dealt a deck of cards, and sometimes you get a good hand, sometimes you don't. But honestly, it doesn't really matter what hand you have. You have to understand the potential behind the hand. I realized that this year and also last year, something I do often is I read a lot. I really read a lot. I'm the type of person that the moment I am in the bus or walking around, I'm observing, and I'm most likely observing like people's behavior. I started doing this because ever since I moved out, was placed out, there's something about, I understood why like the mother birds, for instance in nature, I understand why they just toss their younglings off a cliff. They try to save themselves, and that to me has been detrimental. I really find that I developed myself very strongly because I was often isolated. And when you're isolated, your mind kind of recalibrates. Like I heard that one time that the person that you are is the person, like in the center of it all, which is often when there's no music, no people around you, silence, or a moment where you're truly just in your head existing and not trying to like be going anywhere. When you stick around with that for very long, you start to realize, hey, you know what? I'm at this point of my life right now, and I truly think that I have to change. I used to be a little piece of shit, honestly. I used to be like a fucking weed smoking loser, honestly. And that's the thing, if you have like whatever they call it, ADHD, or you have any type of neurodivergence, it doesn't really matter. But the thing is, your brain's just purely more receptive to external stimuli, right? And I think that when you gravitate towards those things, they give you like a temporary solution. And at the same time, it's combined with comfort, Back in the day, I would hang around with my friends and I would not even have the thought of, hey, we're not really doing anything with our lives. And back then, I thought I had all the time in the world. I thought I'll probably figure it out somewhere when I'm like, 25? But honestly, these past 2 years, the things that I've achieved and the things that I've been working towards, if I was still thinking that way, like in the days where I would just look forward to the weekend so I could like smoke weed, I'm very glad that I took an uncomfortable step and just moved out and did it all by myself. Even the people, you know how on Instagram you can just find people like people you know and everything. You cannot really know what they're up to, obviously, if they don't share it, but I think that people definitely moved on, but at the same time, maybe it's just me, you know, maybe I'm less immune to it, but I truly develop myself when I'm somewhere that nobody knows me. Because in the end, you'll not be reminded of who you were every single day. You will quite literally have like a fresh start. And the beautiful thing about it is, if you really take it serious and really just be like, okay, you know what? This is where I am right now. This is what I can do. I'm gonna get the best out of it, you know? I remember that they put me on medications at some point, and I'm somebody that likes to read, right? So I read a lot about like neurotransmitters and brain health and, you know, biohacking, and I guess you could even say how for instance, like substances, or could be as simple as diet, how that truly like affects you. You know, you should know yourself as if you have your own little manual. You know, when you buy a fridge or anything, it comes with a little instruction manual and you can read about it. And I feel like people should start making their own little instruction manual for themselves, while being really honest to yourself about it too, you know? In this day and age, people are truly afraid to like what they like, and they're afraid that once they do, the shame and the being made fun of leads them back to like be normal. But if you really look at every single person that is, I would say, exceptional or does something and just fully goes for it, those are the weird people. Genuinely, that weird billionaire artist, painter who always seems like you can look at him, you have no idea how he's even a billionaire. And he would greet you and he would be like, oh yeah, hey, can I maybe have a cookie too if you're eating them? You know, he would just be like that. And you, if he was not rich and you didn't know all these things about him, you would genuinely think he's fucking weird. But the people that understand this part about themselves, they realize everybody is always looking at each other. And because everybody is always looking at each other, they never look like up. Does that make sense? Like, even the people in power in this world, and I don't really want to go there too much because that's a whole different conversation, but truly, people are too caught up in trivial things. You know, I'll be opening Snapchat and I'll just, you know, I'm on the app and I scroll left and right and I see those little stories and I see like, I don't know, that like somebody lost weight. And then these stories get like 1 billion views, and it just shows to me how it's like a blueprint, you know? If you want to succeed in life, you gotta just not give a fuck about what other people think. Because it is out there. You know, it is out there. You can see that the people that do not care what people think of them and truly stick to themselves with like a confidence, not like an arrogant confidence, but more like a internal confidence, it has two effects. It will repel people that do not have that, or it will straight up inspire other people and wake their eyes up to the fact that that energy, I'm gonna refer to that ability to if you forgot that it was even real, you get reminded of it. Truly. And I think another part of this is, look, this day and age, with all this TikTok and people watching porn and fast fashion, fast shopping, junk food, microplastics, and you sound like a schizophrenic person if you tell people that you really try to avoid these things. But people often forget that we as humans, we are not even adapted to these things. Our brain does adapt to these things, yeah, but it fucks us up. Genuinely, I'm gonna share something right now that people might find strange. I'll explain it, and I'll hopefully bring to light how that really helps you, right? Number one thing is lust, all right? If you're a man and you're watching this, you gotta realize that if you control your lust, you are almost able to control anything in your life. Because lust is hardwired in our brain. It makes us almost like animalistic. The reason why we're different than animals is because we have so good impulse control. But these days, the impulse control is very low. And if you want to get ahead of people, start by simply ditching porn. Try to start skipping the foods that truly do not serve you in the moment. When you eat it, you might feel good, you might feel relaxed. But if you really look at the long-term effects of, for instance, eating shit, it really fucks you up. And then you wonder why you're feeling this type of way, or why your mind can get to those places that you want to be at. It's because, I'm not Christian per se, but sometimes I understand the things that are said. For instance, in the Christianity, or can be any type of quote that's similar, your body is a temple. How are you going to be in a temple that's completely filthy? If you keep that body and mind, spirit in a place where you can actually exist as that person, then you'll realize very quickly, if you look at the stuff you were looking at before, you'll realize how hijacked your brain actually was. And it's not entirely your fault, because these big data corporations, and I'm telling you, attention is the currency of today. There is money in attention. There's money in where your time goes for other people. Never in a million years would people have thought that the little likes on TikTok could get you money. But that's the day and age we live in. And that's what I want to say to myself too. In 2024, I decided to, I have work that is not lame. I genuinely do work that I enjoy. And I taught myself all the skills of how to do it. I learned the art of reading people and understanding people on a non-verbal way. And this helps tremendously with making choices, because sometimes you should not listen to what people say, but how they present themselves together with it. I think the closest thing you can compare it to is a tone of voice. This is more obvious. However, these things, if you're not focused and you're not doing the things that you're supposed to be doing, for yourself, these will fly over you. And that's also the reason why you can just get an advantage in life if you already just start taking care of yourself. So that's the first thing I did. The first thing I did was I quit weird medications that I was getting fully. I decided to get a gym membership. I decided to start eating healthy, and I decided to just face it all, And the gym membership, this is from Andrew Tate. And I think Andrew Tate is a very boastful guy. I respect him a lot. And he talks about a spectrum of life that definitely exists, but he doesn't really. He's very concrete, you know. I can say it more like this. If you start working out, you'll realize that your body is capable of feeling good by itself. Because when you work out, you wire your brain to look forward to that feeling you get after working out. And it's not even that, you actually feel fresh after a workout. If you really do it correctly, you eat good, you sleep good, and you just do that consistently, you will feel great. I'm telling you, I felt like a fucking loser back in the day. I really I was maybe 20 kilos less than I was right now. All I did was smoke cigarettes and weed and would look forward to the next thing, you know? I was in a comfort bubble, and I'm very glad I broke out of it, because right now I have some decent money to my name. I take care of myself. I'm together with somebody that I learn with every single day. I have my own place, I have my own resources, I have my own way of doing things, and I genuinely, every day, am naturally curious about other things, which leads me to the next point, and that is, when you do not give in to lust, or whatever it is, gluttony, I don't know what it's called, just like overeating and all these things, you'll realize how much your body is capable of just really recalibrating. And it's unimaginable if you're watching this right now and you feel like shit, like maybe you think the things I say are ridiculous, and that is completely okay, because I really understand it. It's hard to imagine something where you're not feeling it. But if I told you that your body, you don't have to do everything consciously. If you do the things for yourself consciously that make a difference, the rest will follow. That's with your heartbeat, that's with your lungs breathing automatically. That is with even going to the bathroom, your intestines, your body does all these things for you, but you gotta treat it kindly. I think the last part that I want to say right now is I obtained all these things right now, and this year and next year I'm not gonna speak it, but I'll just talk about it in a financial level. I aim to get up there. And the last part I really want to talk about, which is actually something that I saw, and it's also why I'm recording this video, because why the fuck not? This guy, he posted about his semen retention. It sounds ridiculous, but that's also proves how much it has been put away, Even on a biochemical level, when you nut or when you ejaculate, your prolactin spikes, and that makes you lazy. Back in the day, men's testosterone was simply higher, and even their dopamine levels were higher. Simply because if you wanted a woman, you had to fucking work for it. But it will feel good to work for it too, because the brain is naturally made to do things as lazy and efficient as possible. And if you hijack that part of your brain that's responsible for reproduction and love, and you say, you know what, I can just get it instantaneously, that's gonna fuck you up, And I'm on day 40, I think, of retaining, and I really cannot describe to you I really cannot explain to you how much this changes things for you. It's like the seed of life, truly. And, biologically, women are just designed, like the deeper part of the brain, the mammal brain is designed to find the strongest primate, stick around and reproduce. Of course, we are civilized, we have all these things, but that animalistic core behavior will always exist. And the reason why we humans are different is because we are able to suppress it if we want. That's why if you look at like a brain of a different animal, their brains are smaller, especially the frontal lobe, which is impulse control. We have that makes us human. And that's why you can also really learn to deeply love and enjoy the small things when you retain, because you basically saying no to that primal part of your mind and you're accessing the other parts of it. And I know this sounds maybe very far-fetched to people that really have no idea what I'm talking about or don't know exactly how that brain works. Your brain has basically 3 layers, and the reptile brain, especially when you're stressed or anxious or life is not balanced for you, you'll do most of your actions based on these things. And if you can conquer that, you truly master yourself. And I hope that when people hear this, there's going to be one half that thinks that this is not a real thing, and there's the other half that might be curious and think to themselves, you know what? I'm not dumb. I can genuinely see the points that he's making sometimes, because, man, if you really look at studies, which I do a lot, women especially, it's that golden age of women for them to be successful, because women have their appearance and their beauty and their nature, and they have to work with that, because what else are they going to do? People often say, why are women so manipulative? It's because if you look at it from a survival standpoint, that's all they got. They're not physically strong. They're not often as rational, simply because they're more emotional, more swayed by the world, highly anxious. And as a man, you're more logical and everything, and that's why you get that as above, so below, that yin and yang, that feminine and masculine. And honestly, everything you see in the world has an opposite, and everything exists in between. I think those are the things that I wanted to say in the video. I will probably watch this video next year and make a new one. And yeah, I genuinely hope that when I speak, my words, speaking is an art. I believe speaking is an art. If you do it without deceit, because that's something I always, especially when retaining, you see this very clearly. You can see, even when you study a body language or something, you can sometimes see the truth when people don't even think you see the truth. And they will live based on that. Anyways, I could be talking about it all day. I wanted to make this video, and I did. And yeah, I don't even think I need to edit this. Really. If I think at some moment I should record another video about a topic, I will, and I'll post it. And as for now, these are the things that I wanted to say. I'm putting this vid out there, but truly this vid is for me, to me. So, if you get anything out of this, that's great, and that's final. All right.